Don't tell him I did this. Trespassing. Howdy guys, welcome back. Leg Arms just jumped to the 270, he's heading down the road. We're gonna go open up the doors to our Quonset, we call it. And we're gonna pull the grain deck out so we can get working on that, because last year it jammed up on us. Not sure why, but the belt just stopped and it was right at the end of harvest, so we may do without it. But we gotta fix it because we need that thing running. So we're gonna bring that over here. Then we're gonna get the headers out for those combines, those massive 45-foot headers, because those need a little work done to them too. Nothing too serious, but we just haven't really gone over them. They need to be looked over. Let's go meet up with Leg Arms. So here's the grain deck. I haven't used it since harvest, and hopefully it's nothing too serious when we find out when we take it apart, but we gotta get it figured out soon because harvest isn't too far away, and in case we need to order parts, we need to know now so we get them ordered. So I'm gonna help Leg Arms get this out of here. That's 45 feet of header right there. That's a big header. My grandpa would just, if he were still around, I can only imagine. I can hear his laugh right now seeing this thing. Are you kidding? 45 feet, is that what we're up to these days? And there's 60 feet's not too far around the corner too. They're starting to run 60-foot headers around the country. I don't know if we'll ever get to 60. That's pretty big. 45. Look at that thing. Look how big it is. Huge. Doing a little crop scouting with Leg Arms here. We're gonna step in the crop real quick, just give you guys a quick look at what we're dealing with here. There's a lot of green, as you can tell, and when it starts getting blue, kind of a whitish blue color, that's a sign of stress from water. It's not able to get as much water to fill it out, and the ground is just getting pretty hard, and it's just, there's nothing much to it with moisture, so it's trying to fill the rest of the heads. We'll see how far it goes. It's gonna hurt. There's only one positive to this kind of stress, and that's typically good protein. The kernels will be small, the test weight will be low, but the color is gonna be really good and the protein is gonna be high. And some years protein can pay very well because it's a desirable trait, especially when it comes to breads. They like protein, that helps the raising of the bread. So that's good, but protein can only go so far because you don't really get paid up on protein. You pretty much just, good protein stops you from getting discounted. So you want bushels. So right here is a kernel starting to form. As you can tell, it looks like there's a bunch of kernels in there. There's not yet, but it's going to start forming it, and you can see a little tiny piece right there. That is what we're getting as kernel. And what'll happen when a drought is it'll only fill about half that head with kernels. It looks like the whole thing's got grain in it, but only about half of it will actually have plump kernels. It'll take the moisture or whatever it has, and it'll sacrifice other kernels that would be producing something and then shove it into like the top or the bottom
but then when you go to cut it, you find out some other news.
If I had a guess, and I'm just gonna throw this out right now, I would say this is probably gonna be 25 bushel spring wheat probably. We'll see if it hits 30. I would be surprised if it hits 30, but let's hope for that because we consider 30 on the bottom end of average for us. On this side over here is the Hutterite crop. It's our neighbors. Don't tell them I did this. Trespassing. This is a different type. This might be a, I don't know if it's a Durham. Look at these tiny little heads. See how short they are? I don't think this is a barley. This is definitely a different type of wheat. I don't know what variety that is, but that's an interesting, definitely. I'm curious what this is. Well, anyways, bottom line is theirs is hurting too. It's blue. No one in this area is out of the disaster zone. We're all suffering for moisture. All right, well, we got the headers here, got the grain deck here. We'll tip that grain deck on its side and start inspecting and find out why that belt is stuck. But Legarms and I are gonna go make a road trip up north. We're gonna check out some of the crops. We're gonna take a look at the grain bins we have up there because there's some bins that we have access to that do have aeration floors in them, or at least you can put tubes across the floor. And because we haven't sold a bushel of peas of last year's crop and we're sitting on it still, and we've got 2,000 acres of yellow peas to harvest this year, we don't have enough aerated floor space to put these peas in. So we're gonna have to probably put them in these bins up north, which would normally hold spring wheat. All right, now we're in the old building. This is a piece of property picked up a couple years back, and we've been storing these tubes in here because there hasn't been a whole lot in here. And so all these tubes have got to head up with us to those bins that we're gonna use for peas. So I'm gonna help Legarms carry these things out. All right, there we go. All loaded up. How much we got here? That's enough. Good job, Legarms. He's so good at what he does. I'm gonna let him drive the Fummins. Oh, by the way, we got new decals for this thing. The magnets fell off, they were ripping. Not doing magnets anymore. We got decals, I just haven't put them on yet. All right, we're at one of our sites. This is 6 bins here. There's roughly 25,000 bushel storage here. These are gonna get turned into pea bins. Never had peas in them before. They're gonna have peas now. But the floors on these don't have aeration, so they need these tubes. Look right here. So we got all the tubes on the back of the pickup here. We're just gonna start putting 3 per bin. There's 6 bins here. I'm gonna give Legarms a hand so he's not the only one doing all this, because right now I look like I'm not a very good worker, which is...
You're a great worker, Nick. I'm not gonna fire you, trust me.
What's this about him talking about firing me? I didn't know he could do that.
I know what it feels like to be fired, Nick. I won't ever do that to you.
Must be his shirt, be the change. Maybe he's a changed man. All right, whatever, let's just put these in there. There we go. So pretty simple design here. No aeration floor. There isn't a loading auger floor that we actually don't even use. But you put a fan on the outside of the bin. This aeration tube is just duct work. All it is just rolled corrugated metal or a bunch of metal with little teeny holes in it, as you can see right here. And what'll happen is we'll put a fan on and we'll probably have it on blow. And it'll pressurize, pull cold air from outside, push cool air in the bottom of the bin, which will then shove the hot, warm air up out the top, and we'll have the lid cracked open a little bit. And that way the moisture from the pea crop will hopefully be dried out. Otherwise, you get moldy peas, and we don't want moldy peas. And the one thing that sucks about doing this though is when you go to pull grain out of the bin, these are underneath here. You gotta slowly take them out while you're going without damaging them, but that's better than rotten peas or weeds, so far so good. Lifetime warranty on it. Keep using it. We're road tripping today. I think you guys might have seen in some of our Instagram stories that we went to an air show And well, what happened was I went to go see F-22 Raptors. They're like the world's greatest fighter jet fly at the air show, and a thunderstorm came and stopped the air show. But the air show is 2 days. So we jumped out of church as soon as it ended, got on the road, and we're driving back to that air show. And we're gonna hopefully catch those guys today, because I wanna see F-22 Raptors fly. So stay tuned, guys. We're on the road. We got Wonkins with us. We got leg arms down there. It's gonna happen. And if they don't fly those jets, we're breaking into the hangar and we're flying them ourselves. Don't doubt me on that. And we got little Roro back there. My lovely wife, Kathleen. The baby that's on the way. And Lukey, he's behind me. And he's still napping, which is good, because, well, he was quite cranky this morning, so this nap is gonna do him really good. The thing that's concerning is there is a forecasted thunderstorm supposed to come over Great Falls sometime around the time we're supposed to do the air show. There's a chance it might get canceled again. If it does, I don't know, I told my wife we're gonna drive to the next air show, whatever state it is, we're gonna go watch it, because, well, I wanna see F-22s. Currently driving alongside the Missouri River. This is actually the river where the Great Falls are on, for Great Falls, Montana. And the Air Force Base is just up the road a little ways, and we've got about a half hour before the F-22 Raptors take to the sky, so I think we're gonna get there. All right, we're just entering the gate to Malmstrom Air Force Base. This base is basically the hub that they use to service all the nuclear warheads throughout Montana. There's a number of them still out there, but it is a pretty nice base, actually. A number of my people I know have lived here when they were serving the military, and so it's kind of fun to get in here. I'm loving these old jets they've got sitting out here. It's nice that they do this rather than scrap an old aircraft. I know they sit outside in the sunlight and the paint fades, but the aluminum's not going to go bad. But the old cars, a bunch of old bombers, jets, really neat. Might get a chance to walk around some of this. I'd really hope so. I could be wrong, but I think that's a Minuteman III missile right there. That's what they're gonna upgrade here in a couple years. And that carries warheads. For those who wanna know why I'm so obsessed with F-22 Raptors, because when I was going to school to get my degree in aviation and flying, that was like just freshly on the scene, the F-22, to replace the F-15 fighter jet. It's got 2 engines that produce over 30,000 foot-pounds of thrust each. It's got thrust vectoring, which was at the time one of the few aircrafts in the world that offered that. It's got radar absorbing material. It's built to deflect a lot of radar. It's a pretty amazing aircraft. There's only like 170 of them made, I think, and they cost around like $170-some million. And with research and development, I think they're more like $400 million. But they don't make them anymore because they got phased out to be replaced with the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. But I still think the F-22 is better. Not that I know anything about it. Okay, we made it, we're in. And the airmen, when I first got there, said that the F-22s already flew, and I got so sad. And then I found out they were doing a practice run earlier, and that's when they flew. So they are still flying. But we're on Malmstrom Air Force Base. Got an M1 Abrams, I believe, over here, and an APC. Nice little Bell over here. This is fun. And we got jumpers right here. Check this out. 22s are coming. They're coming. They told us. About 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Luke's excited. Look at that excited face of his. You do not get more excited than that. Oh, the fun's over. Air shows are a blast. I love it. But back at the farm, didn't film with my GoPros. I figured the wide angle lens wouldn't do so good for seeing airplanes. I don't even think my cell phone caught very good. I didn't have very good cameras for that kind of show. But it was still a blast. That F-22 is something else. What an amazing aircraft. I can only imagine the sensation and those pilots feel flying that thing around. Pretty cool. But I'm gonna go get a load of water. I'm gonna water our grass because that's what we use is the water truck to water. This old GMC is a good truck. They did some work on the engine, I think it was last year. Pulled the engine, put a new clutch in it, I think a new transmission, and it's a good truck, this really is. It doesn't like to start though right now. There's something going on with the carburetor. I don't know what, but put a check valve in line, but it just acts like no fuel's getting into the carburetor, so you gotta dump a little bit in the carburetor right off the bat. Fires right up after that. Good to go. Lots of power. For just a truck to haul around a little bit of water here and there, this is definitely a great way to do it. And it's just so easy to drive this thing. It's just such a simple driving truck. There, that's 2,000 gallons of water on leg arms and my grass. We do this about once every week and a half. It really needs to be done about 2, maybe even 3 times a week if we honestly wanted to have a decent yard, but it gets put on the back burner. Future houses that we build someday are gonna have irrigation, and that way we can just have a decent yard. But in this country, having a nice green grass, it's kind of hard to do if you don't have a good water line running with the irrigation system. So that's on the bucket list of things to do someday. But for now, the water truck works pretty good. Well guys, that about sums up the day. It's Sunday evening, I'm gonna go home and get ready to start next week, because next week, it's go time. I know I've been talking about getting ready for harvest, but next week it's definitely gonna happen. We got a lot of the gear out right now, as you guys can see. Headers, grain deck. Trucks are gonna come in, we're gonna go through all the trucks, go through all the augers, go through the tractors, start going through grain bins, like you guys saw. So there's a lot gonna happen here soon. And those peas are getting closer every day. And when the day comes, you guys are gonna know, because there's gonna be a video. So, speaking of which, thanks for watching this video. And feel free to subscribe to the channel if you wanna be a part of this 200,000 plus team that's growing. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate all of it. Interaction's good with you guys, so definitely. God bless. Take care, guys. We'll see you in just a couple days.